Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Marvel Comics Presents issue number 79. This is Weapon X, part 8 of the 13-part storyline by Barry Windsor-Smith. And this came out in 1991. So quite an iconic cover here, featuring Logan as Weapon X, covered in blood, covered in hair, his claws extended, that Weapon X program helmet on his head, splashed in blood across the visor. Really, really cool stuff, all colored by Barry Windsor-Smith as well. Excellent, excellent cover. Let's open this one up to the credits page here. So for Weapon X, it's chapter 7. There was a prologue to begin with, so this is part 8 of the ongoing storyline. And the statement is the professor has fine-tuned his control over Experiment X, or has he? Story art by Barry Windsor-Smith, letterer Jim Novak, and BWS. So what that means is BWS is indicating where the lettering goes, including the sound effects, and Jim Novak is finishing off the lettering and the sound effects professionally for Barry Windsor-Smith. So the story opens with 2 vertical panels. This is really cool. So we have a long shot of Logan trudging through the snow. He's in the middle of a test sequence. So this is Hines talking. Hines's dialogue is always in pink, the professor in green, and Dr. Cornelius in yellow. So Hines says he's within 100 yards of target now at 3 minutes. So the test has been running for 3 minutes, and he's closing in on his target, whatever that is. We've seen him go up against wolves in previous parts of the storyline. So the question is, what could it be this time round? Great, great art. It goes without saying almost, but I've got to say it nonetheless, by Barry Windsor-Smith here. This long shot of Wolverine, and then we got a close-up on him as these cameras pop up out of the snow. They're following him, they're looking at him from this camera, and then they pick another camera to get closer in on him. So we get to see him there lugging the Weapon X battery packs, the helmet, everything, but he's mostly naked in the snow, and he's just extruded his claws from his right arm. So tremendous anatomy here, great sense of weight for Logan in terms of his posture as he is coming down this snowy hillside there. And one other detail as well, it's something that you might gloss over very quickly, which is the rendering of these bushes here, the twigs on the bushes. This is all so believable because Barry Windsor-Smith has done his study of how plant life grows and how it looks, whether it's covered in leaves, in foliage, or whether it's bare in the winter like this. So the twisting of these little branches and tendrils, it's very, very convincing because it's based on study of natural drawings and landscape drawing by Barry Windsor-Smith. So let's turn the page and see what indeed is Weapon X's quarry. Well, it turns out to be, look at that. This is a tremendous 2-page spread here. A huge grizzly bear. So Logan's heart rate is up. His adrenal rise. An adrenal rise corresponds with a carpal flux. He's about to pop the claws on his left hand. And we get a command here to get another camera angle. So now we're switched behind him, and we get to see him facing off against the grizzly bear there. So the grizzly bear coming at him with claws extended. Wolverine's got his claws extended too, or rather I should say Logan. And this is going to be quite the fight. And just look at the attention to detail here in terms of the uplighting on the bear tree behind the bear as well. The flow of the snow here too. It's also very well realized by Barry Windsor-Smith. He's doing the coloring, everything here too. And now we got this action sequence, these 3 panels. So Logan strikes at the bear with his right hand, and then his 2 arms together with the claws extended. What's he doing here? We got this sound effect, schlucked, and then schlip, and he's cut right off the grizzly bear's head. Superb, bravo, says the professor. Just look at the anatomy here and the hatching for the muscles, the rendering of the muscles, the implication of the muscles, and also the attention to the shadow, where the shadow's falling from the wiring around the battery pack as well. Just really, really great attention to detail. So fluent, so well told visually. the action sequence here. And here we have the aftermath. We've got Logan standing over his kill, the head of the bear, in the snow, and he retracts his claws. Great lighting here as well. A great spotting of blacks and rendering of the shadow on Wolverine's torso and lower abdomen as well. And then the hairy head of the bear in the foreground. And then we're into the control room with the professor, with Dr. Cornelius. He turns off the part of the testing sequence on his computer control bank and sits back. The professor thinks that he has the weapon in control. That's all he ever wanted. This is what we planned, he says. Cornelius is a little bit more skeptical. He says, yeah, I don't know. Bring Logan in, boys. I just think that with a little bit more, and he's going to say something about psychotherapy, not psychotherapy, but psycho-behavioral modification or something like that. The professor's adamant, no more psycho this and that. I want action now. So Cornelius wonders, action? Chopping a grizzly into bloody pieces? That's not action enough for you? The professor, I didn't create this weapon to be some imbecilic game warden, Cornelius. Yeah, so what are you saying here? Logan is ready. But it isn't all cut and thrust, Professor. A bit more time, to eliminate some of the kinks in the system. That's all I'm asking. No, Logan is ready. For what? And this is a great shot of Logan being herded here by the Wranglers back to the laboratory. And the professor says, the great test, Doctor. What is the most dangerous game of all? So Cornelius is wondering there. And Hines humorously says, Bengal tiger with a stick up its behind. And the professor makes the point. Man, of course, man. Yeah, well, we don't have any in stock right now, sir. An interesting overlay of that piece of dialogue with Logan, who's been herded back or guided back to the laboratory because he's been treated like a beast throughout this storyline. So the professor says, then we'll have to get some in, won't we? You're not serious, of course, says Cornelius. On the contrary, I'm deadly serious. So Cornelius is aghast at the prospect. The professor returns to his control room. Logan is back in the laboratory room. The Wranglers are taking the helmet off him and they're leaving the batteries on and set the inline alarm system, right? Guess so. So then we're back with Cornelius and Hines and a little bit of back and forth between them. Cornelius doesn't like the sound of this, he says to Hines. First I'm told we're creating a kind of super soldier from Experiment X. Then it turns out he's some sort of mutant animal thing. So the adamantium bonding sends him cuckoo. But the professor takes me around, pulls me into his game, got sucked in good there. I know it. Oh yeah. And Hines is just listening and tapping away at the computer bank. And Cornelius continues. I got virtually blackmailed into this whole affair, because Cornelius was wanted by federal authorities for medical malpractice, for being involved in euthanasia cases. And he just continues talking to himself. Hines is listening. No, you don't know. But it's like, what's this thing going to do? Is the weapon going to protect us from the commies or something? So Hines says to her colleague, why don't you take a coffee break now, John? And I like this from Barry Windsor-Smith. I'm on duty till 6 beans, says John. So Hines, beans. Like some kind of assassin, says Cornelius. Take a break, John. Good look on her face there as well. She's serious. So off he goes. This is a great tier of panels here, intercutting between Cornelius and Hines in the control room and Logan in the laboratory cell. So Cornelius says, I'm not too large and soul searching and like that, but I've got some responsibility to, stuff. I like that. That's hilarious. So this is a guy who obviously doesn't have too much of a conscience to be involved in a project like this. And as I said, his history of medical malpractice, breaking the Hippocratic Oath, like what kind of conscience does he have? But like he's drawing a line here. I've got some responsibility to, stuff. I ain't got murder inside me, Hines. Not like the professor. But meanwhile, Logan's awake, conscious, pops his claws. That sets off the alarm. And Hines says, if you need me, doctor, I'll support you. The alarm... Yeah, the alarm is set, but it starts going off here at the bottom of these two panels. So Hines says to Cornelius, I'll support you in anything you need to do. So now these two have an alliance against the professor, but Logan is up and free, and he's cutting his bonds, and he's cutting into the Wranglers with his pop claws, the alarm. So they want to, Cornelius asks to get it on screen. So there we go. This is a great final page. Great image here of the two leaning over the computer screen. Just a great angle on Logan. Look at the rendering of the muscles once again on his body. The intercostal muscles there over his ribs and the lats there on his back. Really great angle there. Tremendous mastery of the physical anatomy of the human being by Barry Windsor-Smith once again. So Cornelius is aghast. He calls out for the professor, but he thinks that it's the professor's doing, that the professor has organized this, and the professor's not in charge of what's happened there. So Cornelius is calling him insane, but the professor's taken aback. So he puts on his computer screen, he sees what's happened. Logan's looking towards the exit, and he says, "This isn't my doing, Cornelius. I am not in control, not in control." And that contradicts what he was saying earlier, where his whole joy was in the fact that he believed that he had control of the weapon, Experiment X, but no, not the case. And so here is Wolverine using his adamantium claws to cut right through that exit door. And, you know, we're going to have to pick up the story in the next issue. So there you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this quick review and commentary on Weapon X. This is part 8 of the 13-part storyline. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments to this video. If you liked my review, please like the video on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.